Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
I'd like to call the Plaquemines Parish Council Audit Committee meeting for June the 13th, 2024 to order at 9:04 PM. AM, thank you. Machines are open for roll call. All members are present. At this time, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, since we learned that we never did officially vote a vice chair, we're going to suspend the rules and do vice chair for this year. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm supposed to read. We
Okay,
switched.
all-
A resolution electing the vice chairperson of the Plaquemines Parish Council Audit Committee for the year 2024 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right, I offer for suspension. Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Jurisic. Machines are open for suspension. Suspension passes 3-0.
A resolution electing the vice chairperson of the Plaquemines Parish Council Audit Committee for the year 2024 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And we have a fill in the blank for,
Please, Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Machines are open. Passes 3-0. All right, back to the agenda.
Item 2, new business, review of the internal audit investigation of port payroll.
Mr. Duke.
Let us move to page number 4 under conclusions. The port needs to improve their controls over time and attendance documents, timesheets, monthly attendance calendar, time card, and leave document. Findings. Finding number 1, employee time and attendance. Criteria, the approved timesheet, monthly attendance calendar, time card, leave document are matched and checked for accuracy by an independent employee before paying salaries. Condition, the auditor noted that the employee's timesheet did not match and agreed with the employee's monthly attendance calendar. The employee's time card and leave document were missing. See attachments 1 and 2. The cause, inadequate control over employee documents. The effect, payroll time and attendance is inaccurate. Responsibility for action, Mr. Charles Tillison, Port Executive Director. Recommendations, the employee time and attendance documents, a true timesheet, monthly attendance calendar, time card, leave document should be matched, checked for accuracy by an independent employee before paying salaries. All employee payroll documents, timesheet, monthly calendar, time card, leave document should be available for review before paying salaries. Management response, see attachment 3. So we're going to scoot on down to attachment 3. This response was from Miss Melissa Foltz, Deputy Director of the Port. She states that, Dear Randy, you recently brought to my attention that in July 2023, a Port employee had signed time card reflecting 6 hours worked on Wednesday, July 12, 23, and 16 hours sick leave on July 13th and Friday, July 14th, when other documentation indicated that she had taken a cruise from July 10th to July 14th. Thus, it appeared the employee accepted compensation from the Port for time that she did not work and utilized her available sick leave when she was not ill. We thoroughly investigated this matter with reviewing documents, including the employee's annual and sick leave balances, leave donation forms, payroll time policies, time sheets for June, July 2023, documenting evidence of the employee's vacation, as well as interviewing finance personnel, employee supervisor. The investigation substantiated that 6.5 hours of pay on Wednesday, July 12, 2023 was incorrectly paid to the employee. However, we were unable to substantiate it was intentional fraud. The employee expressed surprise at this entry of 6.5 working hours and asserted that it was a mistake and immediately took responsibility for the reimbursement. Both the supervisor and employee misunderstood the policy as sick leave cannot be used to supplement annual leave, which appears to be a common misunderstanding among the staff. Furthermore, the original leave slip submitted by the employee was either lost or misfiled by payroll, so it could not be verified that a mistake did not occur in data entry. Finally, it was noted that in mid-2023, the pay stubs did not accurately reflect annual and sick leave balances. Since July 2023, the board has undertaken several steps to prevent payroll fraud in addition to a refresher training and relevant policies. For instance, we changed the time clocks to a biometric system to preclude employees from altering timesheets or time cards or clocking in for any other employee. We've additionally moved to a new payroll system which has tighter security controls to, and among other benefits, prevent time card manipulation. Given the investigation's findings and improvements to payroll and time clock system, the employee received a written warning requiring review of the board's payroll, fraud policies, and civil service Rule 4, Section 3 on the acceptable uses of sick leave by May 15th, as well as vigilant against fraud in the future. The employee additionally agreed to repay 6.5 hours of pay authorization attached, also reprimanded and counseled the employee about abuse of leave and better time management, and her history shows a tendency towards zero balances throughout the year, indicating that she takes leave as soon as it's accrued. Supervisor received a written warning requiring review of board's payroll and fraud policies, as well as Civil Service Rule 4, Section 3 by May 15th, as well as the expected vigilance and careful review of the employee time cards in the future. Both warnings noted that any future violation of payroll or fraud awareness prevention policies and civil service rules would result in further disciplinary action up to and including dismissal. Should you have any questions, please contact me, Melissa Foltz, Deputy Board Director and Executive Counsel.
Thank you. So my first question is, based on this letter, when you talked to them, when were they made aware that there was an issue? Because you say you recently brought to my attention. Was it when you first talking to the mic? Mike, Mr. Duke, Mike, talking to you, Mike.
Let's see, I contacted them probably a week or two before I met with them.
Okay. But were they aware of it before you contacted them? Like, did they know about it?
I spoke with Mr. Surpass, and he was not aware of it. He said, please send me the documentation on it.
Okay.
At that point in time, I emailed him the documentation.
So basically, they're saying that they were first made aware of this when you brought it to their attention.
Exactly.
In May, or late April, early May.
I would think so. I
Okay.
can go back and check my records.
Okay. Because I know this is an issue right now for the external audit. We're kind of waiting for the report to be finalized, but there were some discrepancies between this and what they're finding in the external audit. So I don't want to get too far into that right now, just because we don't have a final report on the external audit. But we might want to revisit this at a later date, depending on what that says.
I think that's a good idea.
So, so the other thing is, Did we ever verify, just because I'm looking at this payroll deduction authorization form, and it's not, doesn't have the name or signature, did we verify that that was actually taken out of, either, I know she has since left the port, had we verified that that was actually taken out of the last paycheck?
It was verified by Mr. Surpass.
Okay, so it was recuperated. Okay, I just want to verify because, like I said, it doesn't have a signature or name or anything like that.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, but, during my conversations with Surpass, I went with what he said.
Okay. And y'all have any questions? Mr. Newsom?
I do. Mr. Duke, I see on some of these findings and recommendations, you reference having accuracy checked by an independent employee. Does that mean supervisor, coworker, janitor? What does that mean?
Somebody that doesn't have anything to do with the payroll process. Somebody that's,
So in your recommendations,
and I would think the director of administration would be the person to check it.
that would be your recommendation. Would that not be important to put that in the findings instead of just leaving it? Because that's kind of vague, independent employee.
I don't think it's vague.
Okay. But your recommendation would be to
Yeah, that's pretty clear. It should be an independent employee. It doesn't matter whether it's
an independent employee,
yeah,
could be
somebody
a
that
coworker,
is-
right?
Somebody that's,
Nah.
in my world, that's pretty clear.
Okay, yeah, it's,
Well, here's my
Somebody that
question.
doesn't have anything to do with payroll,
Well, here's my,
especially somebody that doesn't have anything to do with the individual's payroll that they're reviewing.
well, here's my question on that, because of this particular employee, with the director of administration in her immediate supervisor, should it be somebody else in this case?
What I would say is the immediate supervisor should check it,
Yeah.
as well as the director of administration.
But being that the immediate supervisor is the director of administration,
Well,
should there be another person just for anybody in the immediate
Yeah.
in the director of
I
administration?
don't really think so.
chain?
I think that, it would probably be good, but I think that if she reviews the payroll independently, I think it'd be okay.
Okay. I just, like I said, because of this particular employee was in the chain command, I just wanted to,
I don't think she did her job.
okay. You had a question? You have any other questions?
no, sir.
So what I want to do, just because of the nature of the external audit right now, is possibly table this one into the next meeting, because I want to see what results come out of that, because I know this has been being looked into. So that might change. We might have to expand the scope of your audit based on the findings from that. So do you see any problems with that?
Yeah, I do not. I really think that, this audit was, in my mind, a preliminary audit.
Yeah.
Just to get to the crux of the situation. And I was expecting that if there wasn't, I just learned from Mr. Surpass that a CPA firm had been looking into this. But if they hadn't been, I thought we would probably, do an expanded scope on it.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the public? All right.
What?
All right. Next item, please.
B, review of the council assistant internal audit.
All right. Council members, administrative assistance, time and attendance, internal audit. Let us turn to page number 4. Council members, administrative assistance, time and attendance, background and conditions. There are 9 council members, administrative assistants, 8 work full-time and 1 part-time. On April 27, 2023, the Parish Council adopted ordinance number 2358 to establish policies and procedures for council members, administrative assistants. See attachment 1. Parish Ordinance III 2358 states in Section 222 under Council Administrative Assistance. Administrative assistants shall work from the council member's office during ordinary business hours of the parish unless directed otherwise by the council member. Based upon my email documents from the council members, their administrative assistants are following Parish Ordinance 2358 regarding time and attendance. The Louisiana Legislative Auditor's LLA best practice for employee timesheet states, each employee should complete and sign a timesheet including daily work hours, the beginning and ending work times, break and lunch times, and leave, example, annual and sick taken. If not using timesheets, employees must otherwise certify they've worked their requested hours, for example, 40 hours per week for a full-time employee. Council members' administrative assistants are not following LAA best practice. The council member approves the administrative assistant's biweekly timesheets. The approved timesheets show 8 hours worked each day, accrued annual and sick leave. You can see that on attachment 2. Council members' administrative assistants do not have job descriptions nor employee evaluations. An employee performance evaluation, also known as performance review, is a process used by organizations that gives employees feedback on their job performance and fully document their performance. A job description is a document that clearly states essential job requirements, job duties, job responsibilities, and skills required to perform a specific role. Employee resumes maintaining accurate time and attendance records contributes to a strong resume demonstrating professionalism and commitment to potential employees. Council members' administrative assistants' salaries and wages as of December 31st, 2023 is stated in table number 1. Auditor recommendations. In addition to following the Parish Ordinance 2358, the council members' administrative assistants should consider following the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's LLA best practice as stated above. To improve timekeeping accountability, the council members' administrative assistants should consider documenting their beginning and ending work times on an Excel spreadsheet. To improve timekeeping accountability, council members' administrative assistants that work in the field should consider reporting to the PPG office each morning and document the beginning, ending work time, field work times, business purpose, location on an Excel spreadsheet. The council members' administrative assistants should consider having job descriptions and evaluations. To improve timekeeping accountability, the council members and administration should consider a biometric timekeeping system, which is more accurate and dependable than time clocks. Biometric systems include fingerprints, iris prints, hand geometry, voice prints to track and verify employee time and attendance. I would recommend a hand geometry. Council members' response. Council member Mr. Stuart J. Gouy Jr. states will continue to follow ordinance number 2358 for administrative assistance position. District 4. District 5 states, I do not agree with the recommended strict regulations for my district. I do agree with the ordinance as written, keeping the phrase unless directed otherwise by the council member. My district is unique. It has many needs, and both myself and my assistant are on call 24 hours a day. All right, that concludes the...
So my first question is, because I'm all about treating everybody equally, is this comparable to the other employees in the parish, how we do times tracking for our assistants and on-site and all this other stuff? I know you've done other payroll audits before, so I'm just trying to get...
I have to look back, but my recall is that, and Ms. Taylor may be able to help me out with this, but I think the finance department enters their beginning and ending times on an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
And I think, I have to look back there. Most employees, I should say, not people, are using time clocks.
Time clocks, okay.
Okay? there are some that are not using time clocks, very few. Now, the judges don't use time clocks, they're employees. I believe they clock in as well as use an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So it does vary throughout the parish.
And I had an ordinance that I drew for the time being because I wanted to wait till this report came out, that basically changed it to so many hours in the office. Would that, I guess you'll say, be easier to track or easier to implement that policy? That way we know where the employees are or should be most of the time instead of, and I get it because I send my assistant out like on her way home. I'm like, hey, can you drive by through the street lights, check street lights, or go look at this tree. And I get it. There's times that I send my assistant out, but at the same time, I know where she's at pretty much. If she's working for me at that time, I know exactly where she's at. So, and I'm not trying to overstep my bounds on other assistants because they do work for each individual council member, but it is the parish's money that we're talking about. So what is your thoughts about recommendation or I know you're not supposed to give or basically tell us how to do our job, but putting so many hours of a week at the office or at a government building at least, because I understand like today, Mr. Juris's assistant might be up here, not at her office, but up here, but she's working, or Mr. Cognovich or whatever.
What we should do is, I think it should be standard across the board, not just for administrative assistants. And I think that what the finance department is doing with the Excel spreadsheet should be used, entering your beginning, ending times that you come in and leave the office. Now, as well as the field workers, that's the biggest issue that we have here. Where are the field workers? A lot of the trucks have GPS, so you kind of know where they are. But I still think that if they're not using the GPS truck, you need to know where their location is. So we need to have something where I can go in, I can pull a document, and I can say, okay, at this day, they were at this location. And I can go and check that and maybe, speak to some people or whatever and document that they were actually there for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Or I guess what I'm saying, I need a document for field workers that I can audit.
Okay.
Now, if we have zero document, that's a problem.
Correct. And this
if we have people that do not document their hours, overtime hours, so to speak, okay, that's a problem because we don't know if those hours are correct or not. So there again, we need to be able to audit overtime hours as well. So any overtime hours, field work hours need to be documented.
Yeah, okay, because like you said, this is not just for, yes, this is the assistant's audit, but we need a policy and not crack down, but get something in stone for all employees across the parish, whether they're field workers, water department,
Right.
assistants, finance department, and biometrics, that can get expensive, so I don't know if that's the best way to go, but I get that you can't falsify those documents. I know the port recently switched to biometrics and they had issues with the system not working properly and all that, but so I know the port's switching to biometrics to solve some of those problems. So I think that's something we need to look into, but make a policy equal across the board, I think.
Yeah, and you see this, I've noticed since I've been here, this parish is very different from Jefferson Parish.
Yes.
Okay. Now Jefferson Parish has their time and attendance pretty well tied down.
Yes.
So I don't understand why we can't do the same thing here.
Yeah, I get it. I audited Jefferson Parish before a couple of years ago, and I've seen their the time
did as
clocks and
well.
everything, or their biometrics and everything. So I agree with
That's just
you.
a good comparison.
Yeah, I'm very aware of Jefferson Parish, and so, okay, y'all have any comments? You gonna talk today? You got any comments? Okay, so I mean, this is directly dealing with the assistants. I think we need to talk among ourselves and implement a policy, whether, and ultimately come to a vote, but also look at, parish-wide, get with the administration, Crystal, Jeff, Billy, and Keith, and basically come up with something where we can treat everybody the same across the board.
I was a little concerned about this audit because I didn't want to just pick on one
Correct.
situation.
Yeah, I get it. And that's why
I
I'm,
was trying to be as fair as I possibly could.
correct. And that's why I'm looking at it as, it's not just the assistants. We need to treat all employees, because they're still parish employees, it's still taxpayer dollars. So we need to be equal across the board.
Everything needs to be audited,
Yeah,
or capability of audited, verified. And once we tie that down, I think that you'll find that the parish is controlling that and saving a lot of time and attendance and public funds.
okay. One of my questions, which if you could do a little research and get back to me, not necessarily here, is the gross wages. I would have thought, because they're all, besides my assistant, which is part-time, they're all in two, I think, districts 5 and 8 started later in the year, but shouldn't the gross, I mean, according to the budget book, they're all the same pay. So I would think districts 4, 6, 7, 8, or 7 and 9 should all be the same gross pay because they were already on the payroll January 1. So I'm kind of curious why they had different gross pay.
Yes, that is interesting, but this is what it is.
Yeah. So if you could just get with finance and maybe follow up on that, because like I said, 4 of those were already on the payroll January 1, and they all should be the same pay. So why was there differences in the gross pay? I'm just kind of curious on that. I mean, I understand payroll deductions based on what you sign up for, but the gross pay.
Mr. Schultz, it could be something to do, I don't think, no, it's not health and dental insurance. Those are deductions, so I'll
Yeah.
check. I'll get back to you on it.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, I can understand the payroll deductions being different because it all depends on what you sign up for, whether it's family coverage or dental coverage or whatever, but I would assume gross pay would have been the same for at least those 4 districts. And
I would think so, too.
I see 6 and 7 are the same, but then 9 is slightly lower and 4. 6, 7, and 2 are the, yeah, because 2 also was on payroll. So 3 of them are the same, but 2 of them are different, but they were on payroll beginning January 1,
The way I
20.
see this is that maybe there was some sort of negotiation,
Yeah. Oh, no, let's not go there.
rather than just being straight, okay?
Because like I said, I know in part of the budget book, they're all paid the same, so it kind
It's
of.
supposed to be the same, but still, it could have been a negotiation as to what we're going to pay this one versus that person,
Well,
that
yeah,
person,
5 and
based
8
on,
would be different.
maybe based on a resume, I don't know.
Yeah, and mine would be different because she's part-time. So those 3 I understand, but the other 2 is my question. All right, next item, please. Or, wait, any comments from the audience?
Patricia McCarty, Councilwoman, District 5, 115 Noble Drive, Belchase, Louisiana. First time I get to do this. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. McCarty. How are you?
How are you guys? I have a question that I'd like clarified in the future, which would be the difference between unclassified and classified workers. And our assistants are unclassified, and it looks like they're salaried.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So,
So there would be a difference in the way that we keep track of the unclassified versus the classified, since no matter how they work, they are salaried.
but from an audit standpoint, you still got to keep track of how many hours and all that. I mean, because I know my experience is I can pull any employee and I need to see how many hours
Okay.
they work, whether it's 42 hours and they don't get overtime. But also, I'm sure there's unclassified workers within certain departments that they also have to keep track of certain things. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, you're right that they are unclassified and all that, but we need to be equal for unclassified workers throughout the parish. So, yeah, you have any comments?
Bottom line is whether it's classified or unclassified, it's public funds.
Yes,
Has to be kept track of,
correct.
has to be accounted for correctly.
Okay, so I'd like with the whole thing within the parish for us getting in offices, there's no standard operation of procedures, SOPs, or any job descriptions or things of that sort. And I'd like us to do that across the board if we can, when we start adding
That's what one of his
evaluations.
recommendations was, to
Yeah.
get job descriptions. Hold on, let me pull it back up. Best practices, I know that's where it was. Performance review, job descriptions, employee evaluations. So yeah, that's one of the things we got to work on too, is creating better job descriptions, and that's throughout the parish, whether it's a administrative assistant that works for one of the directors or one of our assistants. You know what I'm saying? So we got to do it across the board, make sure, look at everything.
Okay.
Where we're following best practices.
I would like to keep the statement that the assistants work at the discretion of the council member. However, I'd like to be able to add some sort of app that if the assistant is working different hours, but still doing the 40 hours a week or even more, that we're able to keep track of that so that Mr. Duke has the ability to see when the person's working. Because my first year, everything was falling apart in District 5 because
No,
of
I
the
get it.
bridge. Yeah.
The only problem, and Mr. Duke, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen it as an internal auditor at a local sheriff where I used to work, was they could log in from their computer in their unit. And the problem was they were supposed to be in their district logging out of their duty, but then they were logging in, working overtime at another location 20 miles away. So wasn't physically possible. So I get we might be able to create some rules on it, but having that capability without geofencing there,
We could do geofencing,
and that was the
but-
issue. Like I said, because what happened was, I know because I did the audit, and there was basically they were logging out of their normal duty and then clocking in overtime 2 minutes later. But the district was 20 miles from the location, so it's physically impossible for them to be in both places like they were saying. So without geofencing, and that creates a problem. And Mr. Duke, if you want to add anything to that.
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay, so I also last year worked with my assistant. You could consider outside the district, but I was with him late at night doing things. So if there were a way that even if it's the geofence says that I'm outside of District 5, but in the parish, that I can show that I am working with my assistant.
Well, I don't think, based on what you said, is it's not so much where they're working, but keeping track of the hours and location, like he said, Excel spreadsheet, but keeping location of where you're at, what y'all working on. That way there's an audit trail. Right now, there's no audit trail.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
That's correct.
I like that, and that's why we had started writing in a book where we were, when we were, what we were doing, et cetera. We kept a log.
Yeah, I don't
So-
think it necessarily, like Mr. Cho said, in your district, because myself and my assistant, 95% of our time was spent here in this government complex, and that's not in District 6. So I don't think we're trying to go that you gotta put your feet in the ground in your district that you work on, that you live in, that you represent, but
No, I understand.
because this building is not in District 6.
And then we also got to create like a exception policy if there's a hurricane or something like that, because I'm not going to be here, I'm going to be somewhere, and your assistant's going, if they're here, is going to be relaying information from District 5, not from here. So again, we got to come up with a policy that we can all agree on, but also creates an audit trail. And
I agree with that.
Because as Mr. Duke said, this is ultimately government funds
Right.
that we're using taxpayer dollars, and we got to be held accountable.
Exactly. Okay.
You have anything to add? All right.
Okay, thank you, guys.
I got one from, yes, ma'am.
My excuse?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Figure since she spoke, I can speak. I'm Heidi Landry, 166 Colony Road, and I am an assistant part-time. I want to just make sure everyone understands that the public funds are the most important thing. We have to be able to prove to people that people are actually here working. When I was hired, I knew I'd have to go do a little something at a person's house, or I'd have to run here and there, but I knew this was my office. We paid for this building. The public paid for this building. We should be using this building. There's no reason to be sitting, and no offense to Ms. McCarty's last assistant, but we shouldn't be sitting at Adams Catfish working when we're right here and have a building here. We should be at the office when we can be at the office. I understand that there should be times where you have to be called, Patty needs him to come to our house for whatever reason because she can't come to the office. I understand that. But there should be, she should have to me, as his supervisor, or as Chris is my supervisor, he should have to sign off on that on the timesheet. This has become an unbelievably horrible situation for the assistants, seeing the people who come to work every day. They're here all day. I'm writing down, if I'm here 10 minutes late, I'm not getting paid for that 10 minutes because I'm part-time. It is hard for me to watch other people get 8 hours a day when they're not here 8 hours a day. It is and the people that are here 8 hours a day, the other assistants that are full-time, it is hard for them to watch when other people are not here. And I know for a fact that not every one of these assistants that were not here was working. I know for a fact. Saw them places, know where they were. I'm saying that y'all, it has to be more strict. There's no reason when you're hired as an assistant or a secretary that you think you're not going to an office. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. You're to come to work and work here. So besides the fact that we're spending public funds and we're not sure if we're really getting what we're supposed to be getting from them, that's number one, because that aggravates me as a resident that I'm paying taxes and I don't see people working. Number two, it's unfair and it makes the other employees that are doing it not happy. And you're getting people are having bad attitudes. They feel they're not happy about it. They're scared to tell their boss because they're scared they're going to, my boss might, he might fire me. They're all worried about that. I'm not worried about that. Okay, I'm not worried. What's right is right. And let's make it right and make it fair to every assistant and the other workers and other jobs that see this. I get calls all day from public. If I'd have thought about it, I'd call some public people here to tell you all the comments I've gotten, how it's unfair. So I hope that y'all really do come up with a real strict thing and put the councilman, the one that has to sign on the dotted line, not just 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, where my people were and what they actually were doing. Because I think we have a bad thing right now, and I don't think it's right.
All right,
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? You got anything to add, Mr. Duke? You had a question, Mr. Newsom? You were about to.
Just for comment, I know the salaries with the assistants, we talked about the salaries they are salaries as Ms. McCarty noted, but the salaries are based on, we base it on like a year, 2,080 hours as a standard. So that's how the salaries are kind of based, is working 2,080 hours or, I know there's vacation time and sick time that the employees do have, but those are that's kind of where the basis of the salary came. That's all I want to know. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Next item, please.
Item C, review of the Waterworks and Sewer Department internal audit.
Okay. Okay, the Waterworks and Sewage Department internal audit. Let us turn to page number 6. Audit conclusions and comments. The Water Department has good written procedures in place. The Water Department's lack of personnel needs resolution. continue to reduce the collections of cash. Water departments should continue to aggressively collect accounts receivable billings. Water department is following parish ordinances, and the water department's financial information appears to be accurate based on my calculations, based on this audit. The water department will work in a more efficient and effective manner when fully staffed. The council administration should fund the water department's upgraded billing system with a storage capacity of 5 to 7 years of data. Continue to monitor meters to ensure that they are working properly and providing accurate information for billing purposes. Observation number 1, water department rate increases. Recommendations and comments. The water department is following Ordinance 2347. The auditor reviewed Ordinance 2347 and compared and checked the accuracy of the water department's summary rate increase breakdown and found no differences. Management concurs with this observation. Observation number 2, water department vacancies, transfers, resignations, and promotions. Recommendations and comments. The water department should have at least 14 employees, 12 plus 1 vacant meter reader position and 1 defunded meter reader position. With the increase in salaries, the water department should be able to hire stable, qualified employees for these positions. Before defunding a position, the reasons for defunding this position should be discussed with the director. Management response. We are actively trying to fulfill budgeted positions. Observation number 3, water department saltwater intrusion customer credits. Recommendation comments. The water department is following the intrusion ordinances 22-165 and 23-109. I recalculated some of these based on a sample basis and concluded the financial information saltwater intrusion credit calculations are accurate. Management response, they concur. Observation number 4, billing due dates and payments. Take a look here at the, see something on this one here. I wanted to look at. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to note that in the Bell Chase office, they do accept cash and checks on money orders daily. At the East Bank in Port Sulphur, no cash is accepted. They have one person alone in that office, and for safety reasons, they do not accept cash because it would require closing the office and making a run to the bank. Therefore, cash is not accepted. But on some days, they do deposit up to $7,000 in cash from the Bell Chase office. And if you take a look at the transaction list, it shows about $215,628 collected in cash for 9 months. That's as of October 1st, 23. Approximately $24,000 per month based on 365 transactions per month. Recommendations and comments. The water department has good written cash procedures in place. However, cash is a high-risk issue. The purchase and installation of credit card terminal system and interface module would help to reduce the collections of cash and reduce this risk. 4 basic controls over cash should be included in the water department's cash policies and procedures manual. There are countless internal control measures for cash, but many are based on 4 basic measures, and they are background checks, limiting cash access, securing storing cash, separation of duties. Management response, they are currently getting quotes from the software vendor to use credit card machines to decrease the amount of cash being accepted. Water charges and payments by district. Take a look at the analysis on Table 4, analysis of the 22 water charges versus payments. by district. And it shows that the difference was $291,549.49 in 2022. And if you compare that to 2023, on Table 5, it increased to $726,412.94.
So are we saying that, verifying that we're not collecting $726,000?
That's correct. The recommendation, the Water Department should continue to aggressively.
Hold on. Well, how many or how many more? Yeah, I want to hit on this really quick. I know normally I let you go through the whole audit, but I want to hit on this really quick. So you want to go first, Mr. Newsom? So we are not collecting, our uncollectible balance went up, what is that? Over $400,000 in a year? Are we doing cutoffs? Have we verified that these uncollectible balances have been cut off? Because if not, I have a serious issue.
That appears to be the biggest issue with is collections of billings.
Yeah.
We know that the billings are basically computerized, correct? So if the meters are working correctly and sending accurate information to the computerized billing system, we know the billings are accurate.
Yeah.
So we know the payments are accurate based on what they're telling me here.
And it looks
So
like, I
that
mean,
concludes. And if you take a look at the accounts receivable, which we'll go into
okay.
on observation number
Yeah,
6.
we'll come back to it. Mr. Jurcic, go ahead.
Yes, could this be because of the fact that we waived some billing for the saltwater intrusion? Didn't we waive billing in a certain area?
You did.
Yeah, but that shouldn't even be included in the charges.
Okay. So I just wanted to,
Yeah, we waived the billing, but
Some of it's probably that.
Some of it,
Still, I still think we have a huge collection issue.
that was just, my thought maybe was due to the fact that people,
I've been in this-
and did we monitor it to where it was just those certain people
mean-
in that district?
well, no, because I'm looking at the differences. I mean, Bell Chase alone went up $150,000 in uncollectible amounts. Port Sulphur, I mean, Purist went up, but that went up. That does, yeah, I don't know. Okay, we'll come back to this. I'll let you continue, and then we'll come back. Sorry.
That's okay. Observation number 6, Water Department age receivables. We need to consider offering a discount if paid on time. Firmer communication may become necessary if payments are not forthcoming within a reasonable amount of time, including emails, letters informing customer that legal action is possible if payment is not received by a set deadline, and make it as easy as possible to make payment of the bills. And according to the receivables schedule as of February 28th, 2024, at least $628,880.45 are receivables over 120 days, and should have been or probably have been written off as bad debts. Management response. We're exploring new software options that increase the customer communication capabilities. Water Department lockouts. Lockouts, they state in their narrative, lockouts must be monitored very closely because not all customers come in and make payments as soon as the water is turned off. For one account, we may have to go through the following 4 steps. We may start with a simple turn off at the curb stop, turn it back on, proceed with a lock on the meter, lock cut, pulling meter straight up into the tap line. Hazard for water contamination, and sometimes it requires the crimping of a water line and maintenance. Infomark, or even getting the sheriff's office involved. And they state that lack of personnel and time continuously check most times double check for tampering, etc., are major issues. This was presented during the last Archer study. All right, my recommendation is that the Water Department needs to fully staff so that they can handle this, and they need to make sure all manual meters are turned into e-meters to make the water department billings more accurate and make the water department more effective and efficient with this process. They state that they're going to meet with the finance department and the council to discuss funding additional positions. Water department retention of records. This is something that I have looked into, I think, 4 years ago, and it still hasn't been done. The retention of records for 3 years is a current solution. However, the Water Department Council Administration should meet with the billing, KUSI management billing folks and discuss the cost benefits of putting a new improved Water Department billing system with a storage capacity of 5 to 7 years in place. They need to make sure they shred and incinerate paper documents using a cross-cut, diamond cut, or confetti cut shredder. Their management response, they are waiting on legal department on a ruling on record retention. Water department meter read process. They have, their narrative talks about having one workflow coordinator who also reads all the meters and does all the work orders, etc., on the entire lower end of the parish. And they have 4 meter readers, 1 meter reader vacancy on the lower end, and 1 meter reader defunded position. And they have 9,584 active services. My recommendation is stated previously, the water department should hire at least 2 more meter readers to manage the water department's fieldwork issues effectively. They should continue to diligently resolve these areas of concern. Monitor and change all manual meters to e-meters. Monitor meter communication failures and check timely. Monitor meter tampering. Monitoring the transmittal costs, which is very expensive. They should do a cost-benefit analysis on that. The since-used meter system, which is an AI system, appears to be AI, benefits in many ways. They say it benefits and they can't do without it, but it's $65,000 per year. Should do a cost-benefit analysis on this as well, I think. The meters and its parts, they state, are very costly, and the necessity for the department to keep up with supply and demand. New accounts are coming up daily in subdivisions in Belle Chase, especially Cypress Park and Parks of Plaquemines. New accounts are increasing the need of more staff and upgraded technology. And they're hoping that the pay raises will attract more stable, qualified employees to apply for the vacant meter reader positions. Their response is 1 meter reader position is funded and advertised, but the current labor force is making it difficult to fulfill these positions. Water department meter imports. Issue with this is estimations, I think, is causing a lot of issues in the parish. And I've discussed this with them in the past to try to cut down on estimating the billing. And they continue to state that estimations, of course, are not favored by the department. However, in certain situations, weather, bees, broken water mains, underwater meters, and lack of personnel, it's beyond their control, so they have to rely on estimations to generate the water bills. And I know, and no one likes to get a water bill that's estimated. The water, they do have good controls in place on this process, but they still need to do some more work on it, I think, especially with the estimations. Water Department future improvements. The NSS system, which I think is an AI system for sure, sounds pretty good to me, should be in place to improve department's meter knowledge and reduce the reliance on one employee, improve department's meter efficiency and effectiveness. This system will also reduce the risk and provide meter location knowledge during an event such as a hurricane. Stated previously, the council administration should fund at least 2 more meter reader positions to reduce the risk that billing system will become obsolete. We can't have that. it would be wise to upgrade the current billing system before the current system becomes non-functional. Management response, they recently met with the billing, the CUSI billing management to discuss upgrading the software to a newer version. So a lot of this is still being discussed with management, and a lot of it's not being done. It's still a lot being discussed.
All right, that's
That
it.
concludes that.
One question I would have.
Should be on. Oh, I don't know how you got turned off.
Okay. One question I have also is there's a lot of water trucks that are filling up at metered hydrants. Have we been sending those bills out, and what companies? Because it's not the same company. And, these metered hydrants are all spread out, and that maybe could be some of this, we're not getting paid from those companies. I don't, because that's a lot of water that's been used. And that would explain some of the bell chase increases and all, because some of these meters are up the road here. That's a concern I have, is are they paying their bills for the water with those water trucks?
There's no meter involved with that, right?
Well, no, there is one on the
There's a meter?
hydrant. Yeah, they
there's
put
a-
a meter on the hydrant to do it. So, but are they paying it? We don't know.
Have
Maybe
they
look
been
into
getting
that.
billed?
If you could shoot me an email on that, Mr. Jurich, I will contact the water department to get you an answer.
Sounds
All
good.
right, Jeff, you might want to step up. I'm going to have some questions. Because that's probably one, oh, were you done?
And also, we do have an increase in RV spots that are popping up everywhere, and are they tying straight into, are they paying, I do see we're using a lot more water down south, so that would, show an increase, but we just need to get it billed. The other thing I had too is there was a lot of people that came to me this past year about their water bills getting overcharged, and, to fix those rates. I know the water department works with some customers, give you a little bit of forgiveness. So could that be added into, this deficit as well? That's just the questions I've had.
All right. So, well, first of all, I want to verify something before we go any further. So we're voting actually later today to switch to Infomark. We will have an audit clause in that contract that he can still audit, since this is still parish, they're still paying.
The way the contract is going to be structured is this is a labor only. So we'll have full control of the financial side of it.
Okay, so we can
So
still audit everything.
yeah.
And still be able to talk to the employees.
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure. All right, so a couple things that,
Mr. Schultz?
yeah.
What I would do is ask that they put an audit clause in the contract.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure that the audit clause is in the contract.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is probably one of the biggest complaints right now is the rates in water. So one of my questions is, talk about meter readers and the vacancies, and we're going back to 2017. But my question is, if we went since then to e-meters, shouldn't we, I understand we still need meter readers, but do we need as many? We're saying that we need to hire back to the 2017 numbers, but if we're doing e-meters, why will we still need that number?
Theoretically, we shouldn't, but in my opinion, these e-meters have not been as efficient or effective
And that's where I'm going with my
in
next
giving accurate readings, because we're still having to go out twice a month and do manual readings, not on all of the meters, but on quite a few of them. Once they run the reports, they find some discrepancies.
Okay.
And they're still having to go out and manually read these meters.
Okay, so that's where my next question is, and I know this was before you that all this started, but looking at the numbers, 11% come back as no reads. Like, are the e-meters, my concern is not right now because we just installed them, but these things are not made to last as the old-fashioned meters. I mean, are we working into our budgets that the increased costs of these e-meters and all this other stuff? Because my thing is, those little sensors on top, those things break so easily. And to me, can we put them on the bottom where somebody doesn't hit them grass cutting and have to pay for the replacement? Are we ordering, because it looked like reading some of this somewhere that it doesn't even, we don't even have meters in some of the new hookups that, so basically they're getting minimum charges.
Right.
So I'm like, I just find that we're creating a complete disaster going forward, possibly. With,
I won't make excuses.
so,
Thank you. I won't make excuses other than we've placed several orders with Aquametrics to get some meters, and it's taken 4 to 6 months. There's a 4 to 6 month lag time on getting some of these meters.
Okay.
We placed orders mid last year or at the end of last year, and we're just receiving some of these orders of 3/4 inch, 1 inch, and 2 inch meters.
okay.
And we've been in constant contact with Aquametrics to help us with this, but there's just a shortage of the nationwide shortage of these meters.
And then, so on here, it says 326 count, 3.4% are e-meters, but either need new replacement or transmitter, or they're not currently communicating. What happens on those? How are they charged? Is it estimated? Is it
It's an
minimum
estimated
bill?
charge. Yes, it's
Okay.
an estimated from their history.
Okay. Because basically where I'm going with this is, and I've looked at some of these bills myself because I asked the residents to send it to me, is they've averaged, and I get in the past, we did some estimated billing because of the shortage, but I'm just saying average 6,000 to 8,000, maybe 10,000 gallons a month.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're constantly getting 25,000 gallons a month. And the analytics and nothing's changed in their lifestyle or anything like that. And it's not just one house here or there because, okay, maybe there's an error, but it's multiple that I've looked at. I think I talked to you and you said you had a problem one time. So how are we approaching that? Because do we need to look into an audit just on the transmission, on the meters? Because like I said, I probably, since I taken office, 100 plus complaints about this. And it's just like, something's not adding up.
As you know, we've had some issues with the drought last year on the infrastructure, and I tasked Aquametrics to look into the possibility of the drought conditions having some effects on those e-meters as well. They've said that some ground vibrations or vibrations from trucks or traffic on the road can potentially have some effects on these meters, but they have yet to get back to me with some verifiable data. So I'm gonna push them to look into that a little bit closer.
Because,
I'm just throwing that out there, but it is a possibility based on the fact that we've had a lot of other issues with the infrastructure from the drought last year.
and I forgot, maybe St. John, St. Charles, somewhere recently they was in the news that they had e-meters and they're having serious issues with accuracy of readings too. So something, again, I get that we estimated before because we didn't have the readers and that, yeah, your bill's going to go up. You might have been saying 6,000, but it was really 8,000. I can see some change, but then other meters like that same area, really no change. Like mine has never been outside the range, but then my neighbor, which I know he has no lifestyle changes, his has gone up crazy amounts. And you know what I'm saying? Something just is not adding up. And like I said, that's one of the biggest complaints. And I've been telling people there's going to be an audit coming out because I knew that Mr. Duke was working on it. I'm like, let's wait and see. We might have to expand the audit. But we need to do look into this, and because like I said, it's not just us that are having issues with the e-meters. Are e-meters the way to go? Probably, but is there some type of error, like you said, with vibrations of trucks driving by and all this other stuff? So we need to really get to the bottom of this and soon, and then also to the bottom of the uncollectible balance, because we can't say, oh, we had to raise your rates because to break even, yet now we're not collecting or shutting off people that are not paying. So whether it's RVs, the trucks on the road that are filling up, whatever it is, we need to get to the bottom of it and quick.
The current software system we have is, I don't remember the exact year, but I want to say it's pushing 20-something years that we've had this software. So we're 15, 10 years past the time of upgrading the software. And
when we switch, is it going to be a different software or the same software? Do you know? Like when we switch to Infomart,
currently I have two different proposals from the same company, but we should look at other companies.
Okay. Mr. Newsom.
Yes, a couple of questions. I know probably, I don't know if Mr. Duke has an answer. So we get our meters from Aqua Metrics. So is that a contract we signed with them? Do we have a current contract with them, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it for how long? What is the? Do you know?
I apologize. I'll have to check with purchasing to see what that contract runs through.
And with some of the stuff you brought up about having problems with port, maybe we can look and see if there's another vendor out there that can service us better and maybe has a new and improved system, a better system for e-meters. I don't know what's the contract. I should have read this report on myself very close. Do you know any of that information, Mr. Duke, with Aquametrics?
No, sorry, Don.
Okay. We'll check on that. That's all I had. Thank you.
I have some more questions, mainly dealing with the switch. I know a couple months ago you were responding to Mr. Champagne about the late bill that came like a day before.
Yes.
It happened again this month. And I know it's not us because we can prove that we sent it on the 1st or around the 1st. But when it comes to late charges, because it was due today, the bill, I think, today or tomorrow. I just got mine on Tuesday. How is that handled? Like, is that just you or administration saying we're going to waive late charges for 5 days, or what happens at that point? Because
that has to be approved by the council.
Okay, because like I said,
I attempted to do that a couple of months ago, and was informed that I can't just wave a wand and.
Because the thing is, like I said, I just got mine on Tuesday. Miss McCarty happened. I was in that hallway, and there was somebody that was here to pay and was complaining about the same thing about receiving their bill basically 3 days before it's due. And it's like some people do not do online banking and all that, so now they got to find time to get up here. And I told them about how you can sign up and at least get the emails where you can get it. I get my email on the 1st. Of the bit, how much I owe. That way, at least you know it's coming up. But so that's something that we need to possibly look into a little bit. Well, and again, how is that going to be handled with Infomark? Are they now sending the bills, or are we going to run it from here or whoever and then send the bills, or is it going to be through Infomark?
Infomark is going to take over the entire. Structure of running the water billing and bill collection.
Okay, and then had another question on Infomark, but I forgot. I'm getting old. Mr. Jursich.
Yes, speaking about the email, I get an email about a water bill, and all my water bills come through the mail. I don't even have an account set up with an email to pay my water bill. I wouldn't even know how to log into it. So is this happening randomly? Because I'm paying all of my water bills, but one of them, and I could look it up in a little while, but I'm going to have to go to the water department and find out why I'm getting an emailed.
Somebody set you up with an email.
And it's not, but I don't have nothing to log in on, so I never set up an email account for that
Well, yeah,
water.
people
Okay.
get set
Some-
up just to get email bills, but not necessarily log in. Somebody set you up somewhere at some time, probably.
At some point, somebody set you up with an email notification,
Well,
because I just did it myself a couple of months
I
ago.
might be
that's
guilty
why
of
I
some
told
not paying, but I'm not paying the water bill I don't have.
That's why I told the residents to go
Right,
talk to
right.
the resident yesterday, to go talk to him where he can at least get the email prior to. But
I know this past month, I think the first fell on a Saturday, and they hit some problems that Friday, so the bills didn't go out till that Monday, the 3rd. And again, we've had some issues with the mail, snail mail service in Plaquemines, so again, I'm not making excuses.
no, I get that some of it's post office and stuff like that. I guess this really doesn't apply to. I was going to ask, should we? Because I know a lot of places are going cashless just because of the controls in place, but if it's being moved to Infomark, I guess that's their call to make.
Well, we still going to have control over the what software we use and the equipment.
Yeah, but it's ultimately their decision whether it's accept cash or not, because they're going to
Right.
reflect on
Right, and we do have somewhat of an elderly population that is just not tech savvy. They like to walk in with cash and pay their bills.
Yeah, I walk in every month with a check. I don't like doing online.
You could set up for e-billing.
I don't.
Oh, I have one more.
No offense, I don't trust the controls. So that's just me.
I have one more.
Go ahead,
So,
Mr. Duke. Mr.
that's fine. I take that as a compliment. I don't know about Mr. Duke. So, Mr. Jeff, so you spoke earlier about getting meters in from that were back ordered, the 3/4. You said 1 inch, 2 inch. Are those primarily for? Those are the bigger meters. Are those primarily for the commercial? Because I think what's residential meters, I think mine's a 1/2 inch or
It's 3/4 inch, yeah.
So that's what we install.
Most of your residentials are 3/4 inch.
okay.
You may have some that are 1 inch, but most of your residentials are 3/4 inch. And once you get higher, you're looking at commercial use, 2 inch.
So you would say there's the lion's share of the meters coming in are 3/4 for residential use?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So yeah, I guess let's look into the uncollectible and then really push getting an answer on the accuracy of the meters and everything. Because like I said, that's probably one of my biggest complaints in my district is something's going on, and is like you said, it's vibration of trucks, because I mean right now we have a whole bunch of dump trucks and everything going throughout. Yeah.
What effect are we seeing since we had such a severe drought last year, and now we're seeing a bunch of rain?
I haven't had that many complaints. Probably about probably 3-4 months ago was the last complaint I got. So could it have been with the super high bills, like usage. So could it have been the drought? Possibly.
We have very little data to support what type of effect that a drought like that would have. I mean, we know visually what we went through with broken water lines. So, with the meters, with the vibrations, it is possible that it affects these meters. We have no data, conclusive data to support that.
But they're looking into it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to get an answer on that, because if we go through a drought again,
Right.
we're going to start getting the complaints again, and we
Yes.
should have a plan in place for how we're going to handle that. Because, like I said, I don't know how many complaints I got, and I said let's wait till the audit comes out just to see what's covered. If we got to expand the scope of the audit and go look at the accuracy of the readings, we can do that. But we need to have some answers in place before we go that route, Mr. Jurisich.
Yes, I do notice that my complaints have gone down,
Yeah.
big time since we're no longer in a drought situation. So, and me and you had talked about vibration as being a culprit back, when we had a little issue
Right.
in Jesuit Bend area. But since it's gotten, the ground's gotten normal.
Any recently.
So it could be something to do with that. And if that is an issue, we have to address that.
I'm a push that issue with aquametrics.
Yeah, because I mean, they should be able. Are they in other parishes too? Aquametrics? around here, or do you?
That, I can't answer
Because if
that.
they are, I mean.
I would imagine they
I
are.
know other parishes have e-meters, see if they had the same issues.
Same complaints.
Same type of complaints, because the whole area was in a drought, so we should be able to get some type of data on that, and maybe, is it 100% related to drought? Probably not 100%, but at least we can say, okay, everybody's had the same complaints last year.
Right.
And then we can come up with a plan if we ever enter a drought again. So, any other comments? Any other comments from the audience? Thank you, Mr. DeMarco, Ms. Taylor, for attending. Other than that, next item, please.
Item 2, audits in progress. A, ports purchasing and travel card usage.
Okay, on the ports purchasing and travel card audit, I am working with Mr. Tolleson on that audit to finalize that audit. I believe he has a copy of it, and we're going to meet on Tuesday to discuss it and send out a final report.
Next item.
B, PPG purchasing and travel card audit.
On the PPG purchasing and travel card audit, I'm working with finance and Ms. Taylor on that audit now, and hopefully send out a draft report sometime, and probably next month sometime.
Okay, so probably August
I would think-
time
I
range
would
for the
think
next meeting?
August, or maybe the beginning of September, something like
Okay.
that.
Next item.
3, approval of the minutes from the February 8th, 2024 meeting.
Offered by Mr. Jurisic, second by Mr. Newsom. Machines are open. Passes 3-0. Motion to adjourn. Offered by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Jurisic. Machines are open. Passes 3-0. We have adjournment at 10:20 a.m.